What's going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, I'll be previewing the insane 2020 season, what it's got in store for us, in my opinion. So let's roll the intro, jump straight into it. So just before we do jump straight into it, if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's get into this 2020 season preview. Riddled by injuries, the Pies somehow made it into the top 4 and deep into September. We won our last 4 home and away games, smashed Geelong in the first final, but ultimately didn't rock up to the G against the Giants until the last quarter, where it was too little, too late. At stages last year, we went without DeGoey, Wells, Beams, Stevenson, Langdon, Moore, and just a whole bunch of other players due to injuries, and of course, Jaden Stevenson's 10-game ban for that insane betting scandal. We finished the home and away season 15 wins, 7 losses, and the total season 16 wins, 8 losses. After the near success of 2018, we all thought, well, personally I thought 2019 would be our redemption year. 5 goals up in the grand final, losing out by less than a kick. We had the team there, we had the morale there, but ultimately we just didn't get there in the end. Our 2019 season, I feel, was plagued by inconsistent football. We turned our 2018 run and carry, very offensive game into this short kicking side to side game that was very defensive. We had one of the best defensive records in the competition last year, but it turned it to, I don't want to say ugly football, but just sometimes you just couldn't watch it. You'd have to avert your eyes because it just wasn't pretty football, which I guess is ugly football. When we did take the game on, it was only for a half or 2.5 quarters until we fell asleep at the wheel, let the other teams come in, usually in the third quarter. Before the fourth quarter, we wake up and go, shit, now we actually need to put our foot down and then win the game. Some games that come to mind are both of the Western Bulldogs games, the Sydney game, Essendon game, St Kilda game, and the Carlton game, where we were just in the lead, didn't put any of the teams to the sword. They come back, and then we only win by, 20 or so points. After the prelim loss, Buckley came out and said that it was a wasted year. He did backpedal a little bit on those comments, but I have to agree with his initial raw thoughts. It was definitely a wasted year. I can't keep bringing it up, but that prelim was absolutely terrible. Through all the negative, there was a lot of positives. Grundy stamped himself as an elite player. Not only a ruckman, but an elite midfielder as well, pretty much. Pendle's making the All-Australian again, 6-time All-Australian, and unearthing Johnny Noble in the mid-season draft, who was just going to do wonders in that back line. He pretty much played every single game after coming in from the mid-season draft, and now with an AFL pre-season under his belt, he can only get better from here. The only notable outs from the 2019 team going into the 2020 team, James Aish went to Fremantle, Benny Crocker went to Adelaide, Wells retired, Goldsack retired, and Sam Murray obviously was delisted after serving that 2-year suspension. We were pretty laxed in the whole draft and trade period. We did trade some picks to get, picks for next year and moving ourselves around in the end of the 2019 draft. The only in that we brought in was Darcy Cameron from the Sydney Swans as a backup ruckman who looks like a high-marking forward that will take that second ruck role and compete against Cox. Draft-wise, we added the speedy basketballer, Jay Rantel, the Collingwood diehard and elite kick, Trent Bianco, and the smart and classy Trey Rusco. So before I dive into these next 2 sections, players to watch and players on notice, I've picked 3 and 3. Obviously, there's a lot more players to watch and there's a lot more players on notice, but I wanted to pick my favourite 3 and, well, I guess my favourite 3 from both of these categories. Obviously, all my opinion, but let's jump into it anyway. Mark Keane, our Irish defender. He had his praises lauded with big games in the preseason against the Blues in that off-script practice match and the Richmond match up in Wangaratta, the first Marsh Community Game Series. I said it in a previous video that he reminds me of Darcy Moore, where he reads the ball really well, intelligent with where, he's kicking or where he needs to be, where he's positioning himself, and a very, very, very good mark. A debut this season is very imminent, hopefully not because of injury, but now with this shorter season, shorter quarters, more games being played, we might see an extended bench and an extended squad going into match days, and he will find a place on that squad because I just love the way he goes about it. If you watched the VFL last year, he only got better, and this will be his breakout year. My second player to watch, no surprise if you've watched me all of last season, Tyler Brown. I think in pretty much every single preview video last year, I was wishing that Tyler Brown made his debut, and we actually, as of recording this, he'll be making his debut on Friday night against the Doggies in the not packed out Marvel Stadium. In the VFL matches that I did watch last year, he really impressed me in that midfield half-back role. I don't see him playing a half-back role this season if he stays in Collingwood's best 22 or however big the squad is. We've got enough players in that half-back. I think he'll stay on the wing, maybe move Chris Mayne up onto the half-back. The beauty about Tyler Brown is that he can play on the wing, in the middle, or as a deep, tall forward. He is a star in the making, and, I guess it's that seeing Callum Brown and Tyler Brown in the same squad is just, brings a tear to the eye. My third and final player to watch is Isaac Quaynor. He had an interrupted season last year with a persistent foot injury, but he looked the absolute goods when he was playing. A very, very, very quick guy. If you jump onto my Instagram at Swoop Luke, you'll see a bit of footage from training today where he just blitzed pretty much the whole team in like a 100 or 50 meter run, and he's going to be amazing off that half-back flank. You'd think that with James H coming out of the side, that injury to Greenwood, Isaac will have a place in the 22. I think he won't play the first couple of rounds, but definitely still one to look out for. His pace and his use of the ball reminds me of Heredia Lumumba and Leon Davis when they were, in their prime, running off that halfback, taking the game on. And, that's what Crisp does as well. And that's exactly what you want to see from your halfback flankers. So I cannot wait to see Isaac back on the park in our best 22. Mason Cox. I'm sick and tired of talking about that 2018 prelim where he tore Richmond a new one. But when you're talking about his 2019 and what it looks like in his 2020, you do have to bring that up. That is Mason Cox at his apex, at his peak, and since then it's just been straight over the mountain, for lack of a better term. And I know that sounds mean, but it's just, it is what it is. An ankle injury towards the start of the season and an eye injury towards the end really meant Mason had an inconsistent 2019, and you can forgive him for not finding form, after coming back from that bad ankle. They were saying it was a sprain or a twist, but who knows what the hell it was. And obviously with that eye injury, he's only started playing football the last month and a half or so. We know that Mason can take a good grab. Obviously, he's the tallest player in the AFL at the moment, but with Darcy Cameron coming in, he has a little bit of competition. Darcy is a high-marking, goal-kicking, forward second ruck, pretty much what Mason is, and Mason is out of contract at the end of this season. I think that he'll need to do a little bit more than take marks. He has to kick goals. He needs to kick, in my opinion, to get another contract or a contract extension. He needs to kick over 30 goals this season to be considered in our best 22. So this one was a little bit hard. These next two players, I combined them because they're part of the Swoop squad, Josh Thomas and Will Hoskin-Elliott. It might seem a little bit harsh because, Will Hoskin-Elliott had interrupted preseason in 2019, but after lighting up the forward line in 2018, 2019 didn't deliver anything near what our expectations were. They trialled Will Hoskin-Elliott down back, and it worked in parts, but he plays his best football up forward, as does Josh Thomas. In 2018, they kicked a combined total of around 80 goals, but in 2019, they literally kicked 50% of that tally, only kicking 41 between them. So I think with the addition of Jaden Stevenson into that forward line, maybe that's what they were lacking. 10 weeks without Steve-O puts a little bit more pressure on them. But I think Josh Thomas comes out of contract at the end of this season. Can't be too sure of that, so don't quote me. But, hopefully with Stevenson back, they can reach a bit more of the 2018 heights than the 2019 lows. The final player that I want to talk about is Braden Sire. I feel like Sire is a Dane Swan 2.0. All the skills and all the talent required to take the AFL competition by storm, but it just seems that he's not willing to apply himself. And obviously that's a big call because I don't know him personally. I can only tell from training and games, and that's just what it looks like looking into the club. Thankfully, Swanee turned his career around, won a premiership, won a Brownlow. Could the same future be on the cards for Braden Sire? He just signed a contract extension, but with Wills pushing him out of the best 22, he is going to need to put his head down, his ass up, and work it off to get back into there. It would be absolutely remiss of me doing this 2020 preview if I didn't talk about the elephants in the room. Darcy Moore and Jordan De Goey's contract is something that's going to be talked about for the entire season until they sign on the dotted line. They're two of the biggest names in the game and two of the most influential players on not only the Collingwood's list, but they could be the two most influential players on any team's list going forward. They're also two potential $1 million players. De Goey can win a game off his own boot. Darcy Moore can save a game off his own fist. We know that Sydney and the Doggies were very keen on Darcy in the last couple of seasons, and the Roos put a huge Uncle Scrooge-like $1 million figure under De Goey's nose that he turned down. As I just said, they both turned down contract offers. They would be multi-million-dollar contract offers to stay at the Pies. So it's clear that they do want to stay at the Pies, but it's just, do they want to take a pay cut to win premierships, or do they want money, millions from elsewhere to play in a bottom 10 side? Another one is Dane Beams' mental health. I wish him the absolute best. Mental health issues sucks. I've been there. I know a lot of people that have been there. It sucks. He's found his art to express himself and to help clear his head, so that's amazing. But what does that mean for his Collingwood situation? In my opinion, I think we've seen Dane Beams play his last game in black and white, and that by the end of the year, for lack of a better term, his contract will be mutually terminated by him and the club. This is a negative, but it could be a positive because obviously it could give more money in the contract to Darcy Moore and Jordan De Goey. This one is a bit of a hard one now because of this, COVID-19 stuff, shortening the season to 17 games, so playing each team once. But I don't see us losing more than 4 games this year, and I think we could challenge for the minor premiership. But as always, it comes down to, can we keep a full list of our core players healthy and fit and on the park? The last couple of years, we couldn't. We had a shitty injury list in 2018, still made the grand final. Shitty injury list 2019, snuck into the top 4. Well, a kick off. We were a minute or two off a grand final berth, but like I said, all about keeping our list healthy. However this year plays out competition-wise, it's make or break for us. It's premiership or bust. We are in our prime premiership window. Ruffy, Howe, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, all those older guys, they're not getting any younger. We're in the right age bracket, and if we don't win the premiership this year, I can't see us making top 4 next year and challenging for it in the next couple of years. Like I just mentioned, not only is it a big season on field, but it's a bigger season off field with all this contract stuff. But I have full confidence that Ned Guy, the absolute list manager specialist, will get the jobs done, and we will sign De Goey and more. It's going to be a very interesting year. Who would have thought that we'll be playing 17 games, or will round 1 go ahead or not just a mere 2 weeks ago? It's just absolutely crazy. So this is going to be my 2020 quick fires. Ladder finish, we will finish second. Copeland Trophy will go to Brodie Grundy, who go back to back to back. Goal kicking, Jordan De Goey is going to win our goal kicking with over 45 goals. The Harry Collier Trophy for Best First Year Player will go to Trent Bianco. The Darren Mullane Best Clubman will go to Jack Crisp. The Gavin Brown Award for Pressure Acts will go to Braden Maynard. Our best recruit is either going to be our medical team or Darcy Cameron. Huge call is that we finish on top of the ladder and we win the premiership. My small call is that Trent Bianco and Jay Rantel make their debuts. So, Thank you so much. If you've watched it this far, thank you so much for watching my 2020 season preview. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be an insane year. But like, comment, subscribe. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later. Late December back in 63. What a very special time for me. As I remember what a night. Boom, ba-doom, boom, 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 boom. Oh, what a night. You know I didn't even know her name. And the Rouge, oh my god, the Rouge. 2019, riddled by injuries. Alright. We will be looking at, we're not going to be looking at anything.